host Nelson with Cascade Media Group, and tonight we have one of our great artists coming out of Kansas City, Mr. Harold Smith on our Arts and Entertainment Network. Welcome to the show, Harold.
Thank you. Welcome. It's good to
Hey,
be here.
Harold, I have uh, my way of doing my interviews, and it's more so uh, letting my community and my audience know whoever I'm interviewing. The
Mhm.
same time you tell your story, I'm learning, my audience is learning. So, as I said off camera, let's go back to kindergarten and
Okay.
tell our audience, introduce my audience to Harold Smith.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Kansas City, Kansas. I attended Wyandotte High School, graduated in 1981. Um, got an associate's degree from Kansas City, Kansas Community College in 83, bachelor's degree in 1985 from Union College. Um, I, s- I was a computer programmer until around 86, then I began teaching. And
What were you teaching?
I taught computer science for 33 years. I started teaching overseas in Bermuda, and then I came back to the States and I actually taught computers primarily. I also taught along the way marketing, entrepreneurship. Okay, I'll stop rocking in the chair.
You are
I
too
understand
silly,
though. I
man.
understand. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I taught computer science for 33 years, both overseas and in the United States. And in my last 2.5 years, I taught art at Lincoln College Middle Preparatory School. And along the way, I made art, writing, I made some films. I'm a self-taught artist. Really, to be honest with you, as a kid, I was kind of a real introvert. So I spent most of my time either like in my room drawing or reading or at the public library or up at the Cameo Theater on Minnesota Avenue watching movies like Shaft and Cleopatra Jones and Blackula. And so that's, I honed it just in my experiences, people. I never had any professional art training. I didn't study it in school. The last art class I remember where I actually made anything was eighth grade, which was like 1975, 76. So it's just self taught, a lot of reading, looking at what are artists that I idolized, what they were doing. And
Who were some of those artists?
Faith Ringgold is one, Jacob Lawrence, Augustus Savage, Pope L, who recently passed, was really a big influence on my work.
How?
Well, the interesting thing about Pope L is that, first of all, he had what they call an internal driven dialogue. Basically, his work was made solely from his own vision and thing. He wasn't concerned with selling art or pleasing the public. He did these things called crawls, where he would literally crawl, like one crawl he did through Manhattan in a Superman suit with a large black phallus strapped to his back, but he was speaking against commercialism, capitalism, the emasculation of black men, and how that all is a part of the American economic structure. Considering that Wall Street at one point had slave trading blocks there, so his work is very innovative. He pushes the boundaries. He did things that nobody else was doing. And he was a great, not just performance artist, but his actual visual work. His name is Pope L. I encourage people to just look him up. His work really is amazing. But what I like is that he's different. I'm drawn to things that are just different out of the norm. Uh, I think the artist Andy Warhol once said, it's not enough to be good, you have to be different. So those type of artists influence me. William Douglas, Aaron Douglas, Buford Delaney, uh, Lee Krasner, who for
Krasner.
most,
What did you get from Krasner?
well, Lee Krasner was pretty much has been known as, quote, the wife of the famous artist Jackson Pollock, but she was much more than that. Lee Krasner was a fine artist in her own right. There's significant evidence that Jackson Pollock's drip practice that made him famous, that he actually got it from his wife. There's evidence of that. But what I like about her is that despite the fact that other people got much more acclaim and shine, she continued to work up until, and she lived a long life. I'm not really that impressed by these artists who live these fantastic careers and then die these tragic lives at 27, 28, 30 years old. That's horrible. To me, that's horrible. I'm drawn more towards the artists like Lee Krasner, Faith Ringgold, Hans Hoffman, Jacob Lawrence, people that live long, healthy lives, up into their 80s and stuff like that, making
Would you
work.
consider your art? See, the first gentleman you mentioned uh,
Mhm.
had a social conscience, and when I look at a lot of your art, it represents uh, morality, social conscience, and all of that. I'm a dovetail on
Mhm.
the last artist you talk about. I had seen PBS 2 hour special on her, and
Mhm.
it was claimed that Jackson got those ideas from her. You
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were kind of nice in how you,
right.
but that's you know, uh, my mother did private duty with Martha Graham
Mm.
and Gregory Hines. She was a registered nurse, and uh, coming from New York, my mother was more into Broadway and the arts in general. So one might not know that I have that in my background, just like I noticed about your art and the themes that you choose to elaborate on.
Mhm.
So, uh, do you have some pieces that our audience can look at from your early career and talk about what they're about to see?
Yes, I will send them to you. I have a piece called Arm of Democracy, and it used an American flag as a fist to wrap around the throat of a black man. I made this work in the late 1990s, and it exhibited at the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library in 2001. And what was ironic, actually, about that exhibit, there were a lot of protests. It actually got mentioned on CNN. I remember a news crew came to the school where I was teaching and wanted to talk to me outside. Lost some friends over it too. People that I knew. I guess I won't call them friends, but it was a lot of people were offended by my usage of the flag. But this was in late 1990s. This is after the police had killed Amadou Diallo in New York. They had sodomized Abner Louima in New York. Of course, black men were being killed by police right and left always, but it was a little tougher back then because none of it was being recorded on video like it is today. So generally, the police just went free. But it was speaking about the plight of black men. Arm of democracy is like in a social and economic way, even psychological, and to a degree spiritually. Black men in America, it's almost like we have a constant fist wrapped around our throat, ready to squeeze when we become a danger to the
Perceived
structure,
threat.
perceived threat, danger to the structure, talking too loud, talking too much truth, things like that.
What other piece do you have from that era?
I do have. Let's see. I have one called "Black Conservatives." It was a very controversial, which depicted a black man at the bottom, and above him was a big behind made out of the American flag, dropping feces into this man's mouth, and it was just you know there was a strain of black conservatism in the late 1990s. It was very, if you ask me, anti-black, like just you know uh, invoking some of the same racist language that had been invoked by the Klan and other things. And so that artwork was speaking to the fact that you've got some people that were willingly digesting that. Since this is a doo doo, let's call it, they're willingly digesting that doo doo. And in the name of whatever, I don't know what to call it. Anytime you're actually.
Tell me this.
Mhm,
See, I have a fixation with the Matrix, the
mhm,
movie
mhm,
and the trilogy.
mhm. The Red
Some kind
Pill
of
and
way, I
the Blue
think
Pill.
I'm Neo. That
Mhm,
behind having this communications network
mhm,
and some of the things that you just talked about reminds me of what I'm here for and what
mhm,
our company's here for. Because the subject matter that you just discussed, just the two, and I've seen dozens of your paintings, really express uh, the lack of freedom for people of
mhm.
color. You diving through your art a lot of taboo subjects that when you look at the pieces, you recognize what they represent. At least I do right
Right,
away, whether it's a
right.
jazz piece or what. So let's talk about some pieces in your middle stage
Mhm.
that we're going to show the audience. Give me
Okay,
two
well,
pieces and explain what these pieces look what they are.
yeah, I did a series once called the Occupy series, but I spelled Occupy with three Ks, OKKKUPY. And it was speaking, this was at the time of the Occupy movement in New York City. And these were mixed media works on paper in which I used a combination of paint, quotes, pieces of replicated currency. And these pieces, I'll send you one, but I have one that had a face using mixed media and face, but it was representing how money often is used to silence Black liberators, those who have come up in the Black community, and it seems like, well, I've said that after the Occupy movement because the Occupy movement started in New York around 2010 after the bailouts of Wall Street, and all that bailout money was just basically given to these banks without conditions, and so they took our tax money, our bailout money, and just gave themselves massive bonuses,
I've
and then
seen that piece
yeah,
with
yeah,
that currency
yeah.
sticking out the piece.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like it's so the sad thing is all you got to do to throw dollars at people and then they'll shut up. It's just like even some current movements that originally started out to support blacks and black lives and tell people that our lives matter. The money got thrown at these movements. The people bought themselves mega mansions, and now you don't even hear anything more from these movements. They got paid and rode off into the sunset. So the Occupy was really speaking to about these movements, radical movements start in the United States. People want equality, these grassroots movements, but as soon as somebody throws some big money out there, it's over.
Well, this is what I said again. I'm going back to the Matrix.
Hmm.
That when you're in this world, uh, money is the currency,
Right.
and when you've been educated, and as I
Hmm.
said, I'm trying to liberate you with a computer. You're going to run that same program until you put another program in. And human beings, we're programmed. You go into school, they're programming you there not to be creative, to obey. And then we live in a sports society now, like in the Roman days. The world is going to pot, but let's look at the gladiators. And a lot of your art represents that. Talk about some current pieces.
Okay, recently I've been working on a series called the Blacktacular series. And the Blacktacular series speaks to the fact that Black culture has the ability to take the most mundane of things and turned them into masterpieces. For example, we took pig entrails that people didn't want to eat, turned it into this delicacy called chitterlings. And now everybody wants to copy it, including the hot sauce. And so I got a piece called Lord Have Mercy, which has a face with all these words of all these. It's a mixed media piece of all these things that you would have found like at a Sunday afternoon dinner: cornbread, baked chicken, mac and cheese, bread pudding, all that stuff. And it speaks to a time which I don't hear much about, but I grew up at a time where, in most black families, those who went to church anyway, Sunday afternoon was a big soul food dinner. And that's something that interesting. And Lord have mercy, Lord. Well, I call it Lord have mercy, because you would hear that saying a lot. Lord have mercy. That's good. All the smacking and chewing. Lord have mercy. Mercy. And it's just and it's from Black Tacularity. So we have taken just that very act of eating, the very act of seasoning food, taking discards and creating soul food. And not only is it a cuisine, but flavor and taste. Like they say, it's not about the taste, it's about the flavor. But we have created a whole cultural thing around it. I mean, it was a movie called Soul Food. People make books about it. Now you got white folks coming up with soul food cookbooks and stuff. And what they do, they'll put a black person's face on the cover. But everybody wants to do it now.
Hey,
that's Black Tacularity.
hey
There were
man,
kids.
I don't know whether it was a piece you did. I'm more like Aunt Jemima on the pancake box.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Black folks make stuff hip. We make it cool.
The
I
swag.
mean, yeah, we bring that's Black Tacularity. It's the ability to even how I was thinking of some work on even cussing while black. It seems like the way black folks cuss seems that, I mean, really, like Bernie Mac. Come on, who could cuss? You ain't gonna find a
Girl,
non-black
don't hit me
person.
too hard.
You ain't gonna find a non-black person that can cuss like Bernie Mac or Richard Pryor for that matter, or who else? Yeah.
So, before we get off of here, talk about some of the art institutions here in Kansas City that you have worked with, and I don't have the right words, fellowships or different things that you have been awarded to help you move forward with your career.
Okay, well, one award was I worked with Black Space Black Art with Natasha Ria El Scari's organization. And as a result of working on the mural, I was one of the 5 Black Lives Matter muralists. We all got an award. The others were Vivian Blewett, Adriana Clayton, Warren Harvey, Adriana Clayton, Vivian Blewett. There's a couple more. I just can't remember that right now. But I got an award for that. I did receive an award from the IRS for not for paying my taxes, but I do pay my taxes. But
you're better than me
for making art. You might want to cut that out. Cut that piece out of there. We don't want the IRS on us.
Nah, that's a joke. Hey man, listen. Hey, let me say this, man. I don't have a lot of anything because I'm a community person, and all my resources, they go into this business that represents the community. It doesn't go to the IRS. It doesn't go to me. My Social Security and what have you, that keeps me going. And I'm happy what I have. I don't need a mansion. I don't need a Ferrari. I got a 2000. I think it's a 16 or something Mazda I get around. I'm a happy person. Amen. Now, I might not make other people happy, but that's their business.
Exactly. That's on them.
So, in closing, how many pieces can our audience look at that we're gonna put with this video? How many pieces you gonna send me?
I can send you 15 or 20 today. It'll be a little later on today. I'm setting up
right.
I have that big opening on Friday. I'm just working on that.
Talk about that.
Okay, it'll be at Studios Inc. Starts at 5 to 8. It's called Dr. Blackenstein's Blacktacular Black Shack of Arts and Sciences. So in the exhibition hall will be the Academy of Arts and Sciences, where I have artwork up and talking about and stuff. But then if you go over to my studio, which is right next door, right in the same building, right down the hall, that's the Black Shack, also known as Smitty's Boom Boom Room. I'm going to have some Church's chicken, some Colt 45. Might even throw some goat chicken go up in there, and going to
Dang,
have
I
a
might as
DJ.
well bring my wild Irish rose over there.
Yeah, feel free. I'm gonna have some '70s music. I got a DJ coming in. We're gonna dance. We're gonna groove. We're gonna have fun. It's the Friday before the election, and I want people to just have a night off, get out there, just have fun, take their mind off their troubles for a weekend, or at least that night.
Give them an address.
1730 Campbell, the corner of 17th and Campbell in Kansas City, Missouri. And we're going to also have a security outside watching the cars and vehicles. So it's going to be a safe, family fun event with some free food and drink.
Uh, well, what I would say, Harold, it was a plum pleasing pleasure having you on today.
Thank you.
And what I would encourage our viewers, it's very important that you support our local artists and our
Mhm.
national artists. And remember, you have to be the change you want to see. You can't sit on the sidelines and
Yep.
expect everybody to fight the battle for you. And that's where I feel our community as a whole is. But I'm hopeful. And when I say this with my usual closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good
Yes, you
day.
are. Yes, you are. Thank you, sir, for everything you do.
All right.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.